Tracy, thank you. Thank you. So, okay. So thank you all for being here and for devoting this time to your own body and mind and emotional health and spiritual health. This is a very sacred time and class and experience, and feels like just a deep honor to dive into sacred space with all of you in a time where our hearts are kind of broken open, and also in those places, in those very kind of tender open places, that we feel each other so much more deeply. It's like our access to gratitude and appreciation is also opened up. So I want to share two brief poems. Some of you may have read them in posts that I shared this week. And then we're going to come into movement together. And so as I share these poems and as you arrive here on your mat, just allowing yourself to do whatever you need to do to be here and be present. If you want to sit, if you want to lie down, eyes can be open or closed. Connecting to your breath for a moment. And the first of these is called Breath by Breath. Weighed down, anchored like a ship in the harbor. This grief, a contraction condensed around my heart, yet I am filled with purpose. I am not abandoned here. Rather, I am tethered to all that exists, all that has ever existed. My attention is drawn to the tender, not so distinct edges of where my heart meets the heart of the world. For a moment, breathing as one, the ache moves, carries me in waves, pulsations of the divine. What is dying is the illusion of abandonment. Yet, should I forget this truth in a world so vast, there is always the invitation to be reborn into this love again and again, breath by breath. And Bird Wings by Rumi. Your grief for what you've lost lifts a mirror up to where you're bravely working. Expecting the worst, you look and instead, here's the joyful face you've been wanting to see. Your hand opens and closes and opens and closes. If it were always a fist or always stretched open, you would be paralyzed. Your deepest presence is in every small contracting and expanding, the two as beautifully balanced and coordinated as bird wings. All righty, I'm going to slide back onto my mat and we shall do some movement together. So my first movement invitation is to take your hands. They can either be in fists or you can take your fingers underneath opposite armpits with your thumbs outside. Either way, there's a bit of a willful engagement in this shape. It's a breath balancing pose. And we're actually going to create a squeeze and the inner armpit. So if your fists are there, you're really squeezing around your fists, or you can create a little squeeze between your thumb and your fingers. And as you press in here, we're just intentionally connecting to the lung meridian in your body. Lungs are often associated with grief. And that lung meridian actually connects from the thumb through the arm right into the chest. So we're connecting the two ends of the lung meridian together. You can allow your head to be lifted, or you might even just let your head drop forward. And allowing your breath to just simply respond to the shape. Allowing yourself to be present with whatever is here for you today. Knowing that all of you is welcome here on the mat. Your anger, your sadness, your joy. There's space for all of you. This entire range of emotions. Your fear, those contractions and expansions, each part of what makes us human. And then from this tight, contracted shape, we're going to invite the expansion across the chest, the arms. You can reach your arms outward like bird wings, right? And then allowing yourself to follow your own breath and rhythm, coming back in, maybe a tight squeeze like a hug. And then as you open the arms, see what it feels like to either press the palms outward, like you're pushing away the walls. And then perhaps coming back in, pulling it in. Maybe when you open the arms, you explore through a reach in your hands, just noticing what feels intuitively accurate for your body, what matches what you're needing, what you're feeling. The breath can be through the nose, through the mouth, with a sound, whatever you're needing. And when you feel complete, allowing yourself to take a moment, either palm over your heart, or palm to palm, whichever helps you feel a little more centered, a little bit more connected to yourself. Maybe you sense your heartbeat underneath your skin. Your own signal of aliveness. And perhaps recentering on your intention for this practice today. And then from here, we will find a little bit of a seated cat-cow. You can round the spine and inhale, draw the heart forward, the chest through, moving again intuitively, finding your rhythm. Feeling that undulation of movement from your tailbone through to the crown of your head. your spine like a beaded necklace, allowing each pearl to have its own expression. And then hands to shoulders, will open the elbows and drawing elbows together. Robin's breath here. A gentle expansion and contraction. This rhythm found in all forms of life. In us as well. Knowing when to open to the world and knowing when we need to come back in, drawing ourselves into center, gathering our strength before we expand. And maybe you open your bird wings once again, expanding the arms, reaching the hands. This time, as we bring the hands forward, pressing palm into palm, a little bit of a firm press. You might even feel a little shake through the arms. And then inhale, expand. One more like that, pressing to midline. Inhale, sweeping open. And releasing your hands here. Good. A few rotations, upper body around the legs, the pelvis, and allowing yourself to really feel that opening across the diaphragm, the rib cage. And in the opposite direction, breathing a little circular wisdom into your body. As we come back to center, I'll invite your hands to come out like little goalposts here. And we're going to breathe side to side. So we'll breathe the right arm back. You can open the palm toward the ceiling and allow the left hand to come to your heart, allowing your gaze, your eyes to come all the way towards the right hand. And then exhale back to center. We'll inhale it to the left, opening the left palm. Exhale. Finding your rhythm with this movement. You can speed it up if you'd like, that's up to you. A little bilateral movement here, integrating left and right sides of the body, left and right sides of your brain. And as we open the palm and reach, we're always keeping connection to the heart. So we don't give it all away. And that which we reach for, we pull back into the heart. One more time, each side, your rhythm. You might even say to yourself, I've got this. It's okay. Coming back in, drawing both arms up overhead if you'd like. And exhale, we'll take a little twist here, a deeper, more static hold toward the right. So right hand behind, left hand to your right knee, finding length of the spine And then you might explore gazing to the left shoulder and then taking your chin around, gazing over the right shoulder. And from here, we'll take this into a side bend. So left hand takes hold of the right knee, a little traction here as we lean now, left shoulder toward the left knee, right arm coming up overhead. Once again, you can gaze down or maybe lifting your gaze up. And slowly coming back up, unwinding the twist. Let's find side two. Inhale. Exhaling toward the left, left fingertips behind, right hand on the left knee, lengthening the spine. Maybe you coyly gaze over the right shoulder and take your gaze over to the left. Breathing length into your spine. Exhale, deepening into the twist. And we'll take it into a side bend. Right shoulder leaning toward the right knee. Left arm can come up overhead if you'd like. Maybe the gaze settles down. Maybe you turn the gaze. Maybe the heart lifts slightly as you open towards the sky. And slowly lifting up, unwinding. We'll bring the feet out in front of us. So I mentioned this a little earlier, but it's worth saying again here that this practice will be not solely restorative. We'll have some willful practice inside of our flow because there's a power that is required of us, a connection to our willful center, our solar plexus, that is required as we muster the courage that it takes to stay engaged in a world that's hurting. So before we come all the way onto our backs, let's take the hands out to the sides and we're going to lift through the heart here. So your feet can be nice and wide, right? Just really giving yourself a supportive shape here. And we'll find a little Kapalabhati breath or a breath of fire. If that's not right for you, for your body, long, deep breathing is certainly always an option. And if you're joining me in breath of fire, on each exhale, we're drawing the navel back towards the spine. Inhale here. Exhale to completion. Send all the air out. Inhale deeply. Exhale. And let's come all the way down onto your back. Once you arrive on your back, taking a moment to just reorient to this relationship to gravity. Feeling your back body supported by the earth, as if there was a hand there holding your back, saying, I've got you. You don't have to hold it all by yourself. There's this much larger world, this universe, this planet that can help hold your grief, your sadness, your anger, your fear. That connection to our back body, so essential in these times. And we'll wake up through the core, allowing yourself to take the hands behind the head And on an exhale, begin to draw navel towards the spine, head and shoulders off the mat. Head can be heavy in your hands. Inhale as we lower. Exhale as we lift. Moving with your rhythm, your pace, you might find that it's satisfying to exhale out the mouth. One more like that. And then we'll lower down and release the hands by your sides. This one, we'll take the right leg up overhead. The foot can be flexed. You can stamp that foot on the ceiling if you'd like. And then we're going to lift through the upper body. So I like my hands out in front, but you can always opt into supporting your head. Listen to what your body is needing. And maybe stay right here with that left foot stamped on the earth, or maybe you extend that left leg long so that the heel is hovering above your mat. So options here, if that activates any discomfort in your low back, then place the left sole of the foot on the earth. Continuing to breathe, feeling into your strength. Maybe you even feel a little bit of a shake in the core of your body. Again, a signal of your aliveness. And then we'll plant the left foot down, this time hands up behind your head, and take the left elbow towards the outside of the right leg. Now, once again, you can stay like this, or you might extend that left leg long. If this, once again, creates any discomfort, plant that left foot down, listening to your body. And then we'll all place the left foot onto the earth, staying with the twist. We'll lower the right leg. Inhale, exhale, right knee toward left elbow. Inhale, expand. Exhale, crossing midline. Inhale, press away. Exhale, cross midline. One more time like that. Inhale, expand. Exhale in. Inhale to center, lowering the right leg down. Arms up above your head for this next one. And on an exhale, we'll sweep the arms toward the legs, lifting through the upper body. You might stay just like this, or you might extend your heels at an angle. We'll lower the heels. One more little lift through the upper body, and then lower it down, arms above your head. Integrate that one. All right, inhale here. Exhale, the arms come forward, lifting through your shoulders. Maybe staying like this, maybe extend your heels. Lowering the heels. One more little lift of the upper body, and we lower it down. Sending your hands down by your hips once again. We will extend this time the left leg up towards the ceiling, flexing through your left foot and lifting the shoulders, lifting through the upper body. A little isometric hold right here, staying as you are, or perhaps extending that right foot long, hovering right heel above the mat. Maybe you feel a little shake inside of this hovering hold. You can always lower that right foot to the earth. And then we'll plant the right foot down, lower back for a moment, hands behind the head. Right elbow towards the outside of your left leg, staying right here. Maybe you extend that right leg long. Hover here. Are you feeling it? I hope so. I am. Finding your breath. Replacing the right foot. And we'll move here, lowering the right leg. Exhale, cross the body. Sorry, it's left leg, right elbow. Inhale, expand. Exhale, contract and cross. Inhale. Short and sweet and intense. One more like that. Beautiful. Coming back to center, lowering the left leg. Arms up overhead. Exhale, drawing the hands forward, lifting through the shoulders. Maybe staying here, maybe lifting both feet. Lowering the feet. One more lift of the upper body. Lowering down, arms sweep back. Connect to your breath. Inhale here. Exhale to lift. Inhale. And lifting the heels if you like. Lower the heels. One more lift upper body. And let's lower it down, sweeping the arms back. Well done. Okay, let's take both knees in. Take a hold behind the knees, a little rock on the spine if you like. And then up and over your shins into a tabletop. Allowing yourself to integrate the spinal opening, the core strengthening with any free form movement that you would like in this tabletop. Breathing, allowing your sensations to be your guide. Beautiful. And from here, curling your toes under, we're going to sit the hips back onto your heels. And then you can walk your hands back into toes pose for a moment, maybe reaching around, opening through the soles of the feet, the fascia of the feet, our connective tissue. And if this is too much on your body and you're saying, I felt it way over here, go back way over here. So find your working edge. If it's too much on the knees, you can keep the hips lifted. Your body will tell you what's enough. And then maybe even leaning forward and sending the hands back, opening up through the wrists, through the palms of the hands. Going to say the soles of the hands. That kind of works too, doesn't it? Opening up through all of our soulful energy here. And then we'll untuck the toes, and this next one, some of you've done with me before, we're going to roll back onto the tops of the feet. So once again, your body is going to say yes or no to anything that I offer, really. So you listen to you. You can kind of walk, one knee lifts and the other knee lowers, opening up through the ankles and the tops of the feet. Can rock a little bit here, and then we'll rock the other way, coming into a cat-cow again, and just shake out through the feet. You can tap them on the mat. I even like to lift through the feet and roll the ankles for a moment. And from here, we'll come into a little side-to-side C curve of the spine. So we're see if I can show it this direction. We're going to take the head towards one hip and the head towards the other hip. And then I'll show it from this way too. As you turn, we can lift the opposite foot. So you're gonna turn and see if you can see your toes. And made a little 360 on my mat there. So, okay, so just a little side to side. And what I love about this side body squeezing and opening is that we're getting into the gallbladder meridians here. So for any of that rage and anger that's moving through, this is a good supportive shape for you. You might even stick your tongue out. A little squeeze of the side body, opening the side body. Beautiful. And evening yourself out. And we'll come back to neutral. This next one, many of you have done with me, who've taken with me for a while. We're going to take the right leg out to the side, and we're going to create a little fern frond here. So we're going to lift through the right arm. Your gaze can follow, and exhale, we're going to curl it underneath. And then just moving with the breath. Inhale, we open and unwind. And exhale, we curl it in. Inhale, sweeping it open. And exhale like a wave to the shore. Coming back to center with the hands and walking your hands up towards your left knee, coming up for gate pose as we get into the side body once again, up and over toward the right. A few breaths, just greeting left side body. You might even take the back of the right hand towards the inside of the right leg as you rotate the heart a little bit more open. And then we'll come up and over, planting the left hand and reaching into a supported side opener here. Supported side plank, just feeling that long line of energy from the outer right foot to the right fingertips. You might choose to stay right here, or you can come into a little balance play by taking your weight into left hand, left shin, lifting right foot off the earth. Inhale here. And exhale, we can take elbow and knee together. Inhale, open. Exhale, contract. Inhale, expand. Exhale, draw it in. And this time an option to open and reach around behind, taking a hold of that right foot. Now this isn't for everybody, and that's okay. Just allowing yourself to feel whatever version this is, even if you don't take the foot, allowing yourself to open hip flexor and heart. And then release, foot, knee, hand to the earth, and releasing that side out for a moment, just some free form movement once again. We'll take side two, allowing that left foot to come around to the left and opening through the left arm. Exhale, coming on in. Breathing and moving your rhythm. One more like that. And exhale, left hand to the earth, walking hands up, allowing yourself to prepare for gate pose as we come over to the left. Left hand on the left leg, maybe palm pressing towards the shin, and right arm overhead. Again, you can listen to your body, make it yours, gaze down, forward, or up. And then inhaling up and over. Grounding into the right hand and taking left arm up and overhead. Nice long line through the entire side body. And then maybe we take it into balance, shifting weight into hand and right shin, and then lifting that left foot, staying here, or maybe elbow to knee. Inhale, open. Exhale, contract. Inhale, opening here, and exhale, maybe reaching around. Maybe you take hold of the ankle or top of foot. Maybe you're just reaching toward that direction, and we find a half bow shape or something along those lines. Slowly releasing foot, hand, and coming back around to your tabletop. A few breaths just to release any lingering contraction from the shape. And we'll step one foot back, the other foot back, and find a plank pose. In this shape, I invite you to really press your hands firmly into the earth. You can always modify this with your knees down. Whichever form you're taking, this is a willful shape. This is about engaging that courage, that willingness to show up in life no matter what happens. We're here, we're willing to be present. And we'll make our way down to the earth, lowering knees, bending the elbows to lower the chest. Keep the hips lifted for a moment as you lower the chin. And then slowly slithering down to the earth. We'll find a few rolling cobras here, allowing yourself just to explore the back body, the mobility here. You can choose if you want to lift your palms off of the earth, or maybe if you have palms down, how much weight, how much lift. Another breath or two, rolling cobras, your rhythm. And then as we lower, we'll shift into a Sphinx pose. So this time the elbows come underneath your shoulders. And allowing yourself to draw the forearms back and encourage the heart forward through the gates of the shoulders. You might explore how it feels to let your head hang down. And then relifting your chin parallel to the earth and drawing the back of the head back. From here, I'll invite you to take your gaze over your left shoulder, maybe coming into a half frog leg. So we bend into that left leg. You might even tuck the right toes underneath for a moment, a little bit of a rock, whatever supports you in this very primitive shape. You can stay like this, or you might even lift onto that left palm, taking your gaze towards the left side even further. Finding the range of motion that supports your body. We're breathing into the right psoas as well as the neck. Slowly we lower down, unwind the leg, unwind the shape. In your Sphinx, maybe once again, let the head hang. Breathing into the back side of the heart. And then lifting the gaze, drawing the back of the head back. And then maybe your chin towards your right shoulder. This time, maybe you bend through the right knee. Maybe you tuck the left toes under, perhaps even a little rock in this shape. Maybe you press into the right palm and lift a little higher. Turn the gaze a little more. It's up to you. You might notice that this side has a very different story to tell. We often carry asymmetrical tension patterns in the pelvis and the spine, just honoring what's true for you. And then very slowly we unwind, gaze forward, releasing right leg back. This time planting the hands, and we'll press back to a child's pose, sending hips towards heels, walking the hands forward, head heavy. Perhaps, if you like, taking palms into prayer and drawing those prayer hands behind your head. Slowly, slowly, unwinding from this shape through to tabletop, curling the toes under, and we'll prepare to come into downward dog. Begin by shifting your hips back. Your knees can stay bent for this transition as you lengthen through the spine. And then allow yourself to come into this shape however you need to. Maybe you walk out one knee and the other. Maybe you bend both knees deeply. Let the head hang. Stick the tongue out. Right? Your shape, your body. And when you're ready, taking a long, savoring this walk to the front of your mat and finding a ragdoll shape. Allowing your upper body to hang down over the legs. You might nod your head yes, shake it no. Let a sound go. You can keep the knees bent as much as serves your body. And I'll invite a willful transition up to standing. Some of you have done this with me before. And from here, and my feet are hip widths apart here, so you can listen to what supports your body, but we're going to come into a halfway shape. And the nice, long, strong through the back body, core is engaged in, and we'll draw the arms back behind. Gaze can just be down. It's as if you have an imaginary block between your legs. We're squeezing that space, but we're simultaneously pressing the heels in opposite directions. So it's a very wildly engaged, willful, courageous posture. What courage does it take to stand up in this world? Let's reach the arms forward if that's right in your body. Again, maybe you feel a little bit of a shake here. And then we're going to press into the feet, coming all the way to standing with a long spine. Once you arrive, releasing the hands, maybe palm to palm, maybe palm over your heart. Sensing your own heartbeat. Perhaps saying to yourself, I am here. I am alive. We're going to greet the side bodies once again. Inhale, sweeping your arms up. And one can interlace the hands here, and you might move it side to side with which hand is on top. And we're just going to take right elbow towards the right side and then switch it out. There's no right or wrong to this. Just once again, opening and contracting through alternating side bodies. Going back and forth. Connecting to your breath. Maybe your gaze comes down to each side, whatever feels right. And we'll switch this up a little bit. So we'll take one hand to the hip and we're going to reach the opposite arm up overhead and then just let it sweep around forward. And we'll switch sides. So taking the arm up and then let it curl around to the front. One more time each side there, really breathing into the wings of the shoulder blades. Beautiful. And then from here, we'll find Yogi Mudra, taking the hands, clasping them behind your back or using a strap if you prefer, and then allowing the arms to draw down for a moment, drawing your inner thighs back, sending your tailbone long and lifting your heart. Squeezing behind the heart here, a little shelf to open up. And on an exhale with a bend in the knees, let's come forward and drawing those connected hands up overhead. You might find a little halfway lift, drawing the shoulders away from the ears and exhale down. Maybe again, inhale and exhale. And as you'd like, hands by way of your sacrum to the earth, finding a halfway lengthened lift here. And exhale, planting your hands, stepping back. High plank. We've been here before, greeting it a second time. That courageous stance. And then knees, chest, chin. I'll invite once again, lowering down, finding that little inchworm shape on the way to the earth. Settling the hips down. And this time, I'll invite you to walk your hands back, kind of to the ribs here. And then from there, finding your Cobra. Maybe some of you will lift the thighs off of the earth, coming onto the tops of the feet for upward dog. Drawing shoulders away from the ears. And then your way to downward facing dog, rolling across the toes or in any form or another, pressing back, downward facing dog. From our downward dog, I'll invite you to find a three-legged dog, reaching the right leg back and behind. We'll pause there for a moment. Once again, flexing the right foot. We have this shape on our backs in our core supported work. So don't forget to engage the core here. It's needed as we gaze forward and step that right foot forward and through. Well done. And then a few breaths to find a little lunge flow here, in and out. Eventually, I'll invite you to lower the left knee. And once again, you can find just a little intuitive flow as you draw perhaps the hips back, lengthen through the right leg, and exhale, opening into the left hip flexor. Often when we've experienced a shock or a trauma, we grip in the hip flexors and the psoas muscle. So here is an invitation to open that up. We're going to come to the inside of that right leg and allowing yourself to toe heel that right foot out at an angle. And then from here, bringing the right hand perhaps to the right thigh, opening the heart, breathing across the left hip flexor and psoas. This is a beautiful place to stay. Some of you might reach around with that right hand. You can bend at the elbow, lift the heart. Maybe you bend the left knee. Maybe you take hold of that left ankle or top of foot. There's no better or worse here. Every variation of this shape has the essence of it. We're opening through the heart, through the hips. And then as you're ready, we're letting that go. And I'll invite you to come into a pyramid shape. So for those of you that have blocks, this is a nice posture to use a block with. We're going to step forward, this time lifting that back knee off the ground, and come into a shape here that's a kind of shorter triangle between the legs. And feel this out. We're working the hips towards squaring to the earth, and we're breathing behind that right leg. We're lengthening through the spine. You can let the head go here if you'd like. It's a powerful posture here. Pyramid is a very stable shape. And then from the ground up, I'll invite you to step that left foot a little bit longer behind you, and we'll make our way into a triangle pose. So you can keep a little bend in that right knee for this transition. Again, you might use a block underneath that right hand or place the right hand onto your shin. And then as we've been exploring here, your gaze can be down to the side or lifted. As with some of the other shapes we've explored today, you might even press the back of the right hand to the inside of the right leg and open the heart as you extend the left arm behind you. And then soften the gaze, rebending the right leg, hands to the earth. Let's step the right foot back to meet the left. And for a moment, let's lower both knees. And coming into Anahatasana, heart-centered pose, right? Puppy dog pose. We'll walk the hands forward as we begin to lower the heart towards the mat, keeping the hips lifted. You can perhaps take the forehead to the mat, or maybe some of you the chin to the mat, listening to what is needed in your body. It can sometimes feel good to lift up onto the fingertips in this posture, opening through the armpits, the shoulders. And then slowly we reground the hands and we'll press back, downward facing dog. Arriving in this shape, preparing for side two. This time, lifting through your left leg, flexing through your foot, feeling the strength of your body, gazing forward and stepping left foot forward and through. And a few breaths to make it yours. Eventually, we'll lower the right knee to the earth. And once again, you can take a few breaths, sending your hips back and forth, opening the heart, greeting the left hamstring, the right hip flexor. And then we'll begin to walk that left foot out towards the left. You can point the toes outward a bit here. You might even walk that right hand a little further to the right as you open towards your left leg. You might stay right here. You might draw that left arm up overhead and behind, lifting through the heart. Maybe you bend into the right knee. Perhaps some of you take a hold of the foot or ankle. Sending your breath into any of those tight, contracted, fearful places in the body. Embracing yourself with tender, loving care. And then slowly we unwind, walking left foot back to center. Maybe your block is a handy tool here as we lift into pyramid, shortening the stance and allowing yourself to greet what this side of your body has to say. You can always keep a little bend in that left knee. The higher that you lift the upper body, you reduce the intensity. So following what your body is needing here, maybe you let your head hang heavy. And then when you feel ready, stepping wider, we'll transition into Triconocena Triangle on this side. Maybe your block is a handy tool. Allowing yourself to take your time with any transition. Maybe gazing down, forward, or up. Perhaps with this triangle, we focus a little more on pressing to the inside of the left leg with the left hand and dropping that right arm back. We tether to the core. We're not giving it all away in these heart openers. And then slowly back around, forward, making your way to downward facing dog. From your downward dog, I'll invite you to inhale, drawing right leg back and behind, and exhale forward into a low lunge once again. This time we'll keep the left heel lifted, keep the left knee lifted, and begin to walk yourself up into a crescent lunge. Acclimating to this balancing shape. And if your feet are on a balance beam, maybe widening them out to hip width apart, it'll help. And then we'll draw or sweep the arms back. Maybe interlacing the hands once again, creating that little squeeze in the back side of the heart. And then slowly releasing the hands, we're gonna open up into a twisted crescent. So we're twisting over the right bent knee. Finding your breath, finding your balance. You can always modify with left knee to the earth. One way or another, perhaps exalting your crescent lunge, drawing right hand toward your sacrum or the back of the left leg. Maybe gazes down over your right shoulder or comes up towards your left hand. Slowly unwinding from twisted crescent into warrior two. Allowing yourself to take your time to get there. Again, a transition. You can arrive in your warrior two, maybe lengthen and rebend that right knee. Maybe turn the palms open and then settle the palms down towards the earth. Coming back to your intention, what has brought you here today to your mat. And then we'll reach away from the front bent leg. Exhale, finding extended side angle. You can take the hand on top of the right thigh or the forearm to the right thigh, left arm reaching overhead. Maybe gazing under your left armpit or up toward your left hand. And then slowly lifting up. For this next transition, that block might be handy. You might skip this, listen to your body. We'll inhale, reach away. And this time, exhale, perhaps lifting that left leg off the earth. So we're coming into an Ardha Chandrasana or a half moon pose. You can keep that left hand grounded on the left hip. You might look down for balance. Maybe you lift that left arm. Maybe your gaze comes toward the left fingertips. So here we are in a precarious shape in gravity, in this human form. Wobbling is welcome. Maybe you reach around as we did before on the knee and take a hold of your left foot. Remember, triangle is an option here, or staying in extended side angle, or letting yourself release into child's pose. Whatever supports you. Slowly we unwind from whatever form you've taken, and we'll all meet in a downward facing dog. Coming to the hands, stepping right foot back, walking out the legs, greeting yourself here. Let the head be heavy. And then from here, we'll find side two. Inhale, lifting the left leg. Exhale, forward and through. That core supports that transition. And then finding your balance as we lift up into crescent lunge. A little bend in that right knee if you like. Drawing the arms up overhead to start. And on an exhale, sweeping your arms back. Maybe interlacing your hands here. Drawing the connected hands back and behind, that little squeeze behind your heart. And then we unclasp the hands and we'll open up into a twisted crescent lunge. Remember, it's a balancing pose still. If you're wobbling, if you fall out, it's part of this human experience. We're going to embrace it on the mat. It's good practice. and perhaps exalting the warrior. Remember, you can do this with the knee down. We're lifting through that right arm. Hand can be on the sacrum or the back of the right leg. You might gaze down. Some of you might explore what happens as you lift your gaze to the realms of potential. And slowly unwinding from the twist into warrior two. A shape that's familiar, some solid ground beneath our feet. Arriving here. Feeling where you begin and end in space. And perhaps reaching away. And exhale into extended side angle. Reaching the right arm overhead as we've done before in class, really feeling that long line of energy outside of right foot to the right fingertips, lighting up. Now, this is a great place to stay. You might simply transition to a second Triconocena Triangle or reaching away. And exhale, perhaps a block is handy here as we shift the weight forward, left hand, left foot, and lift the right leg up. Finding half moon, Ardha Chandrasana, a balancing shape, a challenge for today, a chosen challenge. You might stay as you are, or perhaps some of you bend through that right leg, taking hold of the top of the foot or ankle. Wherever you are, releasing the side. Exhale, making your way back to downward dog, however you get there. We'll take a very brief pause, releasing the knees and pressing the hips back. Resting in child's pose. Throughout our practice, we alternate between very active shapes and then settling into these restorative shapes to arrive and be with what is moving, what's opening, what's shifting inside of you. Slowly, we'll press back into table. We've got one more standing flow and then we're on the mat, curling the toes under, lifting through the hips. From downward facing dog, I invite you to inhale, reaching the right leg, and exhale, stepping forward and through. Now, if you want to take this last little section on your back, resting, listen to your body. Otherwise, we're coming up into warrior one, this time grounding into the left heel. You can take a moment, hands to hips, inviting hips forward, and where they naturally stop, we invite the chest, the heart, the rib cage forward, and then sweeping the arms up overhead. This courageous stance of the warrior, and we'll make a transition into humble warrior, releasing the hands behind the sacrum as we've done already, clasping the hands and inhale to lift the heart. This time, exhale, and we lower upper body to the inside of the right leg. Shoulder greets the inside of the right knee. Head can be heavy, soft. We recognize that courage requires humility. Our willingness to let go and not know, to be in the unknown. Slowly, hands by way of the sacrum to the earth. Inhale, lifting back up through warrior one. And exhale, turning forward on your mat. We'll find a midway pass into Prasarita. Toes can be slightly angled in, hands to hips, inhaling the heart. And exhale, forward fold, a little bend in the knees as need be. Hands can come to earth or to a block, right? Supporting your practice. Head below the heart, bowing to the wisdom, the guidance of our soul centers. And then we'll find a halfway lift. We'll turn the toes outward and bend the knees. So here we're going to place the elbows on top of the knees here, and you might even just shift a little side to side. Breathing that inner thigh line. And then we'll press up to standing, and we'll take warrior one the opposite direction here. So allowing left foot to be forward, and you can shift your stance as much as need be here to find your way in. We're encouraging the hips forward, encouraging the ribs forward, and sweeping the arms up. Inhale. Allowing yourself to explore that space between the bend of the left knee and the openness of the heart. Sweeping the arms down on an exhale, clasping the hands, maybe the awkward way, the unfamiliar way. And then we'll draw clasped hands down the back leg to lift the heart. Inhale. And exhale. Folding forward, humble warrior. Head lets go, neck lets go, eyes soften, tongue softens. Maybe a sigh, letting something go from the inside out. Slowly, by way of the sacrum, softening, releasing the hands. Inhale, sweeping all the way back up. And then releasing back to center once again. One more visit through Prasarita. This time, we'll clasp the hands once again at the sacrum. Inhale, lifting the heart. And exhale, forward fold. The seal of yoga, this posture, Yogi Mudra. And slowly, by way of your sacrum, releasing your hands to the earth, finding a halfway lift. And then we'll take a low transition back to the front of your mat. Stepping right foot back to meet the left, and we'll lower knees, chest and chin, all the way down to the earth. This time, I'm going to share a few options The first is to explore with me a king cobra. So as we've been exploring Cobra, and you can walk your hands back towards the ribs, you can lift through the upper body, and some of you might explore what it feels like to bend the knees. Now, I'm not the kind that touches the back of my head towards my toes. It's not in my lifetime, but you can imagine an arc of energy that's closing the gap. And then slowly descend to the earth. Maybe stack palm over palm, forehead resting down, and let your hips rock a little side to side. You can opt out of any of these. You can come into child's pose or find a cobra that is a variation that's right for you. You can return to Sphinx, or perhaps this next variation invites you to clasp hands as we've been doing at the sacrum, this time finding a variation of locust as you allow the connected hands to lift your heart. Maybe your feet stay grounded, or maybe your legs lift off of the earth. And then slowly soften, release. You might stack hands, rest forehead, rock the hips. Knowing all of the varieties, the variations available to you, the modifications, this next one is an option, an offering to come into bow pose. We bend through the knees. Perhaps you reach around, taking hold of your ankles or the tops of your feet. Allowing your neck to soften for a moment, and then kicking your shins, your ankles into your hands, your feet into your hands to create a lift through the heart. This bow, this tension of opposites that opens the heart. Finding your breath. And then slowly softening, releasing, hands under shoulders, and we'll press back, child's pose. Our final heart opening shape in today's class will be Usana or Camel Pose. Again, everything's an option, and I'll show variations for this one. We will come up onto the shins. Variation one is that your hands are a nice supportive base for the low back, and that from here we are lifting the heart. Your chin can stay tucked. You listen to your body. Variation two, we interlace the hands as we've been exploring and allow that little squeeze behind the heart to create a lift as we press the pelvis forward. Maybe some of you tuck the toes under, releasing that clasp, and you take hold of your heels. Again, your chin can be tucked, or some of you might reach the chin back behind. Very slowly, walking yourself back up, and an invitation to come sitting onto your heels if that is not an option for your knees, coming into any comfortable position to integrate, to experience the residue of the shape. Noticing your heartbeat, the waves from your heart. the space for all of you. And then as you feel ready, shifting your hips to the side, your legs out in front, a very brief visit to a seated forward fold, allowing yourself to find a long spine, bend in the knees as much as needed, maybe the arms lift, and exhale, just allowing yourself to come forward to whatever degree is supportive in your body, maybe a halfway lift, perhaps the feet push forward into the hands, allowing the spine to soften. Whatever variation you're taking, perhaps explore letting the back of the neck go. And then slowly, slowly walking yourself up and all the way down to your back. Checking in with yourself as you arrive. Are there any final shapes that you need to complete your practice? If so, allowing your body to guide these final movements, your sensation, your teacher. And when you feel complete, I'll invite you to settle into sweet stillness. We will take just a few extra minutes of our practice time to be nourished by Shavasana, our metaphorical relationship with the end, the releasing into corpse pose, built into our practice as a reminder that inevitably we all must let go eventually. And so we practice. My attention is drawn to the tender, not so distinct edges of where my heart meets the heart of the world. For a moment, beating as one, the ache moves, carries me in waves, pulsations of the divine. What is dying is the illusion of abandonment. Yet, should I forget this truth, in a world so vast, there is always the invitation to be reborn into this love again and again, breath by breath. Slowly, slowly, when you feel ready, we have the invitation to be reborn again. Allowing yourself to find some Subtle movements, fingers, toes, deepening the breath. Allowing yourself to draw the knees in, perhaps a visit into a fetal position, a symbolic gesture of that seed of rebirth. And then, if you so choose, rolling to your side or rocking on your spine and making your way back up to sitting. Taking just a final few breaths, maybe palm to palm over your heart or in front of your heart. Tuning back into what brought you, what drew you here to your mat today. What intention you set for your practice. And what is it that you are taking away? Dedicating the merits of this practice to all those who are suffering. Namaste.